When I was doing this challenge back in March, Wasteyard seemed like the most obviously impossible level in the game, and at the time, it was. The reason why this level was impossible is due to the numerous ghost transformation segments scattered throughout the level. What's so problematic about these sections is that Peppino moves really slow. He can speed up by picking up the ghost peppers, but most of the time, those are located far away from where we transform, and Peppino still can't outrun Pizzaface even with one ghost pepper. This wouldn't be so bad if he could just gain a large enough distance between Pizzaface, but that isn't the case for this level. There's just so many big rooms that revolve entirely around the transformation, and since we move slower than Pizzaface, juking him at all isn't an option. This even makes one of the escape rooms impossible to do normally, so at the time, I skipped this level without giving it a second thought. However, the noise update came out shortly after, and I started thinking twice about this level. It was found out pretty quickly that the escape sequence became possible due to Ghost Noise's dash, but what about the other sections? I started labbing right after finishing Crust Cove, and it became pretty clear that this level was indeed possible. If you want to see the full, no commentary P-Rank of this level, it's in the description. If you want to see my explanations for the strategies, keep watching. Also, is that you watching this video while not subscribed to the channel? Don't think I can't see you. I have around 4,000 returning viewers that aren't subscribed, so if you're one of them, consider subscribing down below. Anyways, I do a mid-air roost at the start of the level to gain close to Mach 4 speed before reaching this upper section. I then jump over the corpse rider on the bottom level, as that actually loses speed. I leave the mushroom top in for the escape and enter the first secret. Pizzaface seemingly intercepts you if you were to go straight to the right, but a simple jump beforehand lures Pizzaface away from the intersection point. I do another mid-air roost before entering the first room with the ghost transformation. This is the only room that doesn't have any ghost peppers, which in turn means we can't dash to avoid Pizzaface. Fortunately, this room gives us enough of a head start in order to lose the transformation before Pizzaface catches up, and to do a tornado cancel past him. You can also juke Pizzaface in this small section before entering the gap, which might make this possible as Peppino too, but I'm not sure yet. Editor me will put a message on screen if it's possible. I attempt and fail a high boost before entering the underground portion of the level, which doesn't lose as much time as you'd think, but it still sucks. I super taunt 2 mini Johns here for some extra points, and make my way down to the section with Jerome. He's located in this alcove to the left, which means that Pizzaface would intercept us if we were to get him right away. So instead, I reset the room and get him from the bottom, jumping over Pizzaface to go back. The next ghost section does give us the ability to dash, which makes this a great opportunity to discuss ghost movement. The noise's ghost movement is very janky and difficult to control, which is caused entirely by the dash. The dash accelerates the noise right before decelerating him, giving a very slippery feel to it. Overall, it maxes out at around 18 speed before slowing back down to 6, which is a pretty big range. This makes avoiding Pizzaface with the dash somewhat tricky, as you'd gain massive distance at the start of the dash, but by the end of it, you'd slow down enough for Pizzaface to close in on you faster. The dash also has a large cooldown before it is able to be used again, which makes it really finicky to gain speed with. Thankfully, both these problems can be easily avoided by quickly turning the other direction to be able to dash again. This has a similar effect to Mach canceling a normal grab, which stops all movement while allowing you to grab again. This turnaround can be done right when the noise starts decelerating to essentially keep building up speed. A similar effect happens when you bonk into a wall, which is also sometimes useful. Anyways, the second ghost section itself is really easy with all of that put into play. The third one is a bit trickier though, as you need to go all the way to the right here to get the ghost pepper, giving Pizzaface all the time in the world to catch you. I originally tried the speedrunner way of doing this room by uppercutting onto the ladder and quickly crusher jumping off it to reach the transformation pickup. From there, I can move to the right while being as far up as possible before collecting the ghost pepper and dashing away from Pizzaface. This worked in practice, but I could never land it while on a real run, as while practicing I placed the save state too early, giving me just slight enough of an advantage to make the room easy. In reality, this strategy is much harder to achieve, so I looked for alternatives. You can juke Pizzaface on the left and get the ghost power up by crusher jumping into the mushroom, but you'll need to get out of this cave before reaching the pepper, which is just a bit too slow. I quickly stumbled upon this strat though, which involved crusher jumping on the edge of the ceiling here, so the ghost mushroom would move into the noise and give me the transformation without having to move further down. This gives me a very large window to collect the ghost pepper and avoid Pizzaface, but the downside was that it was pretty hard to achieve consistently. Fortunately, by using the left half of the ceiling and by replacing the crusher jump with an uppercut, as that move keeps the noise at the ceiling for longer, you can maintain a similar, much more achievable effect. It also helps to move down before picking up the ghost pepper to make dashing from Pizzaface upwards easier. The rest of the room isn't bad, where I time my dashes carefully in order to loop around the room and enter the second secret, which is also pretty easy. Pizzaface spawns fairly far away, giving me plenty of leeway to collect all the points. The final ghost section before the escape is only made difficult by the ghost block here, as dashing straight into it slows down the noise by a lot. Going through the room as fast as possible and just hoping you don't lose as much speed is really dangerous, so I wait until Pizzaface is right next to me in this bottom corner before dashing up right and breaking the block, and then getting rid of the transformation to safely jump over Pizzaface. I get the secret treasure now as it puts Pizzaface into a better spot for the future, which I do with an up door and a high boost inside the closet. I jump over Pizzaface here and break Pillar John to start the escape. This forces me into yet another ghost section, which is thankfully fairly easy if you're patient and time your dashes correctly. The next room involves a high jump to avoid losing speed on the wall, and I enter the third secret shortly after. Pizzaface jump scares us after going through the first section, but it's not too much of a problem. I super taunt 2 more mini Johns as I'm not super confident in my points total, and I did miss a couple of enemy kills earlier. I get the mushroom top in with a couple of crusher jumps and enter this room, which involves us having to turn at multiple points before exiting the room, which is a problem with Pizzaface being right behind us. Despite how difficult this is, there's a lot of ways to do this room. The simplest strategy I found was to simply lure Pizzaface up with a normal jump before each drop, and to slide down below him on the next level. You can also do some precise tornado cancels, but I personally don't find that to be as consistent. I boost off this enemy here to avoid losing speed, making sure to keep the other 2 alive so the same is possible during lap 2. The next room is pretty simple with a couple crusher jumps and tornado cancels, but the next and final ghost section needs to be done precisely in order to break the wooden blocks while avoiding Pizzaface. I start off by entering and getting the transformation right away to get past the cheese grater, and then wait at the bottom right corner until Pizzaface is right next to me before dashing up. After the dash completely finishes, I start with a normal dash to the left, but then start holding down after breaking the blocks to turn it into a diagonal one. This is pretty tricky to do, and slows the noise down by quite a bit, so it's best that Pizzaface is as far to the right as possible thanks to the setup we used earlier. I then do the same thing, except now I start holding up instead of down. One last dash up and to the right puts me ahead of Pizzaface to make the next 2 sections fairly straightforward. Since this is the first lap, I need to collect the third pepper up here to be able to break the ghost block past the cheese grater, which I do with 2 diagonal dashes up and 1 diagonal dash down into this wall to cancel it and follow up with a second downwards dash. The next corpse rider room is really annoying to do fast, which leads to me messing up some movement. The lap 2 for this level is probably the hardest to do consistently in this challenge, mainly due to those 2 difficult escape rooms, but I pull through. My strategy for the last ghost section is actually a bit different due to the blocks being gone, where I can simply do 2 normal diagonal dashes instead of starting with a normal dash earlier. You also don't have to collect the third pepper anymore, which makes the room a bit easier. I mess up the final corpse rider room once again because of nerves, but that doesn't stop me from clutching up the sub 5 with a 4 minute and 59 second time. Well, we're finally onto the crumbling tower of pizza, and can I say I'm just so glad to be done with this challenge. Wait, what do you mean war is possible now?